Well, greetings and welcome to our study time. We have the past 2 weeks been looking at the book Are We Together by Rob Renfro, and we're going to continue that today and maybe finish up next week. I think that we'll get the bulk of what we need to from the next 2 weeks, and we'll then continue on with our scripture study. But today we're looking at the differences in, I think we talked about this last week. There are two major groups. There's the progressive side and the traditionalist side. And we say that there are centrist people in the middle, and so swinging one way or the other. And there is a division between obviously the traditional side and the progressive side. And looking today, the next chapter, chapter 3 of the book, is we're not together on our sexual ethics. And I'll read some out of the book here and probably make some comments. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. Again, I can help you get the book if you would like that and to get all the details, but I just wanted to highlight a few things today. So chapter 3 is Are We Together with Our Sexual Ethics? And it's no surprise that we are divided in our sexual ethics. And so the book says the United Methodist Church is deeply divided regarding whether God blesses homosexual relations. Votes at General Conference indicate the depth of our differences depending on whether the issue is the incompatibility of homosexual practices with Christian teachings, same-sex marriage, or ordaining self-avowed practicing homosexuals. The Church's position is usually upheld by a majority that ranges from 53 to 60%. In secular politics, these margins would be celebrated as clear victories. But in a church hoping to be a family, these numbers indicate that we are divided. Many of us are hurting and nobody is really winning. We have witnessed this division at General Conference every 4 years since 1972. Several conferences have been brought to a halt as pro-LGBT demonstrators have taken over the floor and at times the agenda. In Pittsburgh in 2004, someone felt compelled to display their anger and sadness by destroying the conference communion chalice. And in Fort Worth in 2008, demonstrators draped the communion table in black. Legislative attempts to breach the divide have been put before General Conference on more than one occasion. Rather than prohibiting or approving of homosexual relations, the proposed legislation would have had the church state that good people see these issues differently or simply admit that we are a divided church. All such attempts have failed to gain a majority. After 2012, General Conference reaffirmed the church's position regarding sexual ethics. Bishop Melvin Talbert stated to a group that had gathered in the Love Your Neighbor Tabernacle, and here he quotes, "The derogatory rules and restrictions in the Book of Discipline are immoral and unjust and no longer deserve our loyalty and obedience. Thus, the time has come for those of us who are faithful to the gospel of Jesus Christ to do what is required of us." With several other bishops standing near in support, he then called upon the more than 1,100 pastors who had signed a pledge to marrying gay couples to do so and to stand firm. We traditionalists, the book says, affirm the United Methodist Church's position regarding sexuality. Why? Because it is biblical, balanced, and compassionate. It beautifully joins together grace and truth, and we desire neither to liberalize the United Methodist position nor to make it more restrictive. Our beliefs regarding marriage and same-gender sexual relations agree with nearly 2,000 years of Christian teaching. Our views are the same as those presently held by the vast majority of Christians around the world. Others may refer to themselves as centrist in the United Methodist Church's sexual debate or sexuality debate, but those of us who support the current teaching are at the center of the church's position both historically and globally. Others may feel they have received a special revelation of the Spirit that we unenlightened believers have not, or they may believe they possess advanced abilities in interpreting the Scriptures that the Church has lacked for 2 millennia. But we make no such claim for ourselves. We humbly and gladly stand with the Church, historic, global, and United Methodist. By stating we affirm the present United Methodist position, we mean that upholding the truth that all persons are individuals of sacred worth is every bit as important, if not more so, to us personally and to our theology as affirming the part of the Book of Discipline that states that the Church does not condone the practice of homosexuality and considers this practice incompatible with Christian teaching. This is from the Book of Discipline, paragraph 161G. We teach that our first obligation is to accept and love everyone. Before we talk about the Bible's view of homosexual relations, we always state if you cannot love someone because of his or her sexual practices, you have a bigger problem before God than the person you cannot love. Why is this sin? Then why, I read that poorly. Why this sin is the next question. Then why this sin? That's the question we are asked frequently by those who want the Church to change its position regarding homosexual practices. And it's very fair to ask it. Why must we speak out about this sin when other sins are more prevalent and destructive in the life of the Church? Why must it be addressed in ways that others are not? There are 3 important reasons. 1, this is the only sin the Church is being asked to accept, affirm, and celebrate. A primary reason we feel compelled to talk about the practice of homosexuality in our churches is that large numbers of people are trying to change the Church's view. Of course, it's true that more people are guilty of greed than engage in homosexual activity. And there's no question that the New Testament condemns greed much more frequently than it does homosexuality. But no one is asking the Church to declare that greed is good. That is a gift, that greed is good, that it is a gift from God, and that we should change what the Church has taught about it for the past 2,000 years. No one is encouraging persons with a greedy nature to fulfill their desire for more and more stuff. 2, the authority of Scripture, of the Bible, is at stake. We believe the Bible's message is clear and consistent in stating that same-gender sexual practice is contrary to God's will. The only way we could ever agree that homosexual activity is acceptable to God would be for us to decide that the Bible is wrong and its teachings cannot be trusted. 3, the healing ministry of the Church is at stake. All of us are broken emotionally and sexually. Homosexuality is one form of sexual brokenness. Very often, abuse, seduction at an early age, gender disturbance, and dysfunctional family dynamics play a part in a person's coming to identify as gay. When that's the case, the most unkind, unloving thing we can do is to tell a person that his or her brokenness is a gift from God and not offer the hope of emotional and sexual wholeness. The Church is called to be a healing community. If we fail to offer healing because our culture and progressive Christians want us to call brokenness wholeness, we fail God and we fail persons who are gay. We are not called to an easy life, but to a holy life. It's a life meant to be lived in a supportive community that accepts people regardless of their desires or their past. Those of us who believe we are called to holiness must create a warm and open community that is welcoming of broken people, no matter what that brokenness may be. And again, I've condensed chapter 3 with these thoughts here today, and again, I can help you get the book if you so desire. But that gives us an idea of the differences in the sexual ethics that the two groups within the United Methodist Church hold, and they're really not compatible. So that this is another, in my mind, support for. We've been doing this since 1972. It's not getting better. There continues to be argument about this. It's time to separate. Is the argument here, and I can understand why there's a call there, because we are not together in this the look of sexual ethics. Okay, I'm going to stop here, and we'll pick up next week. And like I said, I'm going to try to condense the rest of the book into just one more study, because I think 4 will be enough for us here. I hope you have a great week. Hope to see you Sunday at worship, and either here at the internet or at church. I pray God's blessing and His peace be with you. Bye now.